I say it must be a Wednesday because I get to hang out with the original Coach Carter, and that's always a good thing. So how you doing? And I understand. Well, people don't know, but you've been working up on some frequent. I shouldn't say flyers miles, but some road miles because
Yeah,
just yesterday I saw you here, but
yes,
you somewhere else now.
yes.
So
I've
where
moved
are
on
you now?
from there. I am in Sumter, South Carolina, visiting with a very good friend of mine, Dr. Lawrence Davis. So I got a chance to hang out with him, and he's going to join us today.
Well, I enjoyed while you were here. You know, I almost put some sugar in your tank, but I guess I shouldn't tell you that. To make you stay, to make you
Yeah,
stay, man. I
got
always
it.
tell people about how he left me. He abandoned me. I feel like a stepchild. He left me. He left me. You know. But anyway, this is Youth Central Sports where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. We talk about sports and a whole lot more with the original Coach Carter. And once you do us the blessing of introducing your good friend, who I know you've been knowing for a long time and have worked with you previously.
Yes, as I said earlier, this is Dr. Lawrence Davis, a very good friend. And all of the particulars of Lawrence, I'm gonna let him tell you about himself. I know him as Lawrence. He is Dr. Lawrence Davis, so I'm gonna let him introduce you to him.
Well, first and foremost, he got it right. It's Lawrence. The platitudes and the things that go before and after my name really don't reflect who I am. I'm really Lawrence. But I really appreciate the opportunity that you and Coach Carter have allowed me to be able to have a candid discussion on the many topics that we will discuss tonight. So I'm just real privileged to be a part of the a conversation tonight.
Well, that's you being a little modest, but that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. Well, I want to I do appreciate you and you coming and hanging out with us on Saturday. But before we get into our discussion, Vince, won't you kind of give us an update on you? You left Tennessee, and so kind of catch us up and how you and what's the plan when you get back? Because we,
Well,
Coach, you don't know, but normally he gives us a weather update. But now that he's not in Tennessee, he can't give us a weather update. But yeah, go ahead.
well, it's hot there. Yeah, it's we got the forecast is 90 some degrees. Uh, it reminds me a little bit of Florida, although I just left Florida and it's a lot hotter there. When we get back, we're back into the early parts of our basketball pre-workouts, open gym, skill development. We're now focusing very heavily toward getting ready for the season. We'll start out conditioning very soon. 'Cause we start back to school in the first week of August. So our program will ramp itself up right about that time. We'll start with 2 weeks of two days a week of activities. Those off days will be conditioning days as we wind down to the start of the season. We're a little bit later this year. We're going to start in November as opposed to October, but we're there. We're on our way, and I'm
All
excited.
right. All right. Well, before we get into this past weekend, there's been a lot of talk, and I'm switching gears now.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of talk about the trade that took place with Westbrook heading to Houston, and I'm gonna ask you. Oh, but by the way, you want a cat? A kitten? Um, do you think it's gonna work with Harden and Westbrook real quick?
No, I do not. I think not only those two characters, you got to put D'Antoni in that mix as well. It's going to be a masterful, skilled job if he can pull it off. But personally, I don't think it's going to work. But I hope for their sake, yeah, they have some semblance of some type of program. The owner will not tolerate anything other than a successful opportunity. So I believe a couple of those, we're going to see some more trading coming from that. and D'Antoni only got an extension for 1 year. It would not surprise me if he would be gone.
Well, somebody brought up an interesting point today, Vince. They said that Westbrook, I guess, when the game is over, he really don't shake hands. He just kind of go about his way and does his thing, and you just go back to the locker room. And they said the only person after the game when he plays against Houston, he will go and talk to Harden. He will take selfies. He'll hang out with hang out with him a while. And he's the only person in the NBA that he would do that with. And so I guess what they were saying is because of the relationship he has with Harden that he will make the sacrifice. Now, those are just words, of course. You, you
Yeah,
got two alpha guys and
exactly.
right, yeah.
That's the challenge. The challenge I think you're going to face is that I believe that we're confusing friendship with competitiveness. They're both demand the ball. They're not the same people they were when they had that friendship. They've both matured and grown into two separate people. Hopefully, they're hoping that they'll be able to bring that back together and using that as an example. I don't think that's going to do it, but I hope for their sake that it works out well. But in my own opinion, I don't think so.
Hey, Charles, if I may interject, I just think that the one interesting dynamic in that relationship between those two is that what we may not be taking into consideration is the evolution of time. Uh, they're older now, and Westbrook, I think he's not at that point where he was in his career before, where he was expected to be the focal point of a team's offense. I believe right now he realizes that that's going to be hard, but he still is going to have a pivotal role. And I think it depends on their success whether or not he accepts that secondary role or not. Now, if he doesn't accept it, I think it's going to be like what Coach is implicating in that it may be a short run for them.
I don't think he can do that because Wes has done a good job of being effective off the ball, and he has done a good job of that. But again, I think also because they have matured, that they're now set in their ways. There are certain kind of plays that they have to have. D'Antonio is an offensive player. He's an offensive coach. If he can find a way to share that basketball, where everybody has the ball when they need to have it, then he's going to have success. If he cannot do that, then in my opinion, he'll have a train wreck.
Well, the thing is that part of the same conversation that took place when the announcer was talking about their relationship, they said that Westbrook is coming there knowing that it's James Harden team, that he's secondary, that that's not his team. So that might help in the sense of the mindset. But, again, well, how many times have we said on this, well, you've heard me say this. He's not a point guard. We're talking about Westbrook. He plays point guard, but he's not a point guard. He never will be a point guard. It just won't happen at this point in stage of his life. He's just not a point guard. But how they going to make it work, I don't know. What?
That's what they pay the big money to D'Antoni for. It's up to him to have that. Now, what he has done, supposedly sat down and talked with both of them individually, and I believe there's been a conversation for them together. Now, maybe if they can make that work, they can find a way. It's going to be on the coach to figure out how to share that basketball. If he can find out how to keep everybody happy and put some players around them, they got a good chance of being an effective ball player. How far will they go? I don't know, but they will have a chance to be effective.
Well, I think Coach is right. D'Antoni is gonna play a pivotal role in this, in whether or not they're successful. However, I think if he does not come up with a scheme that will allow Harden to do his thing and Westbrook to be able to do his thing, again, they are not going to be successful, and they may have some conflicts early in the season that may not allow the two of them to actually arrive at the end of the season together.
Now, let's Let's talk about Chris Paul for a second. The funny thing is, sports and life is what it is. And then I think he has kind of forced himself into a situation where he's at a place they're not going to. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. You know, they might make the playoffs, but they're not going anywhere. I mean, they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. But here he's kind of pushed his way into that situation from when he was a younger player trying to demand something, which that's his personality. But at the tail end of his career, and this happens a lot, I guess, in sports, I guess you kind of reap what you sow. But he's in a tough situation. Do you think he's going to stay there?
Well, the word right now is that they are. The early word is they plan on holding on to him. If they do that, they will not be able to move him until the trade deadline, which will be around All-Star break. So they're gonna have to sit on him until then. Now, that's a lot of money. What I think they're gonna do is bring in a third team to try to offset some of that cost, and then they may keep him. All the idea is to trade him. So it's gonna have to happen soon. They've already had some conversations with third teams that have not been identified yet, but that conversation is on the table. If they're unable to do that, and he goes to camp, they're going to have to hold on to him. Now, the biggest adjustment, the team as it stands right now is set up for Westbrook. Can they make the adjustment so you can fit Paul in? That's going to be the challenge that they're going to have. So I don't think he'll stay there. I really don't think he'll start the season there. But some of the conversation I'm hearing says he might very well be there.
Well, one of the thing considerations is the salary cap restrictions that they're going to have to deal with, which means they will probably have to stick with Chris Paul.
Well, but that's the challenge. That's why they bring a third team in so they can offset that cost. They're going to have to move somebody, find a way to absorb some of that by releasing some of their dollars on their side. And that's where the third team comes in. It's 121 million it's up with up 171 million dollars they got to eat, and that would affect their luxury taxes. That's going to hit their salary cap. So they got to have a third team if they're going to keep him, or they also have to have a third team if they're going to trade him.
I think they're going to try and trade him to a team that could actually use a point guard, but also use some leadership. I think that would be best for Chris at this time in his career as well.
Early team on that conversation is the Heat. There's been some heat. The Heat has had some very interesting. They have an interest in him. Problem is salary, money. How do I fit that? Now, if anybody can do it, Pat Riley can make it happen. So that could be the first opportunity that he could be moving if he could go to the Heat. Oh. Then you got a different situation. He goes to the Heat. You got Jimmy Butler. So to me, you're jumping out of the frying pan right back into the pot.
I don't think one thing with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy is probably he can play the two, and Chris is playing the point. That's going to be his position.
But you got personality. That's what I'm talking. I agree with that, and that's what will make them coexist. But you got personality, and that's what I'm concerned. Now, that having been said, I think Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley are the two best at handling that kind of a situation. So if it's going to happen there, that's probably going to be the best place for it to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, be interesting to see what happened.
Without doubt.
Be on the tail end of the show, we get to quickly talk about the NFL because I saw they said 50 days to the start of the season, so not that far away. So we're going to talk about the NFL on the back end. But this past weekend, I want to thank you so much, Coach Davis, for hanging out with us. But we've been talking about this for a while, and and Vince has a passion for it, and probably you too, especially now. Sports is more than just a game, and just talking about just a lot of the do's and the don'ts and what this thing has evolved into. And you can call it a $1 billion industry. I call it a $1 trillion industry because that's what sports is. When you see what's happening around the world, it's probably a $1 trillion industry, overall with how we're so involved, in sports. On the lower level, when it comes to middle school, little league, what it transformed because these little people become big people and then the little people watch the big people, and then the parents, which I know you guys can probably sit and tell one story after another, and what it's like now. Because even for myself, and Vince, you heard me say this, on the show, because I was like in awe of my brother when his twins were playing, because I know where he came from, and understanding where he came from. I'm sitting there listening to him talk about his daughters, and he sounded like the typical parent. I'm sitting there looking at him like, what are you talking about? But he sounded like a parent. And like, you know this, you know better than this. And it just amazed me, and I don't know what that is when it comes to parents now, but I was in shock, Vince, because my brother know where we come from, and we know the game and how it played and that whole thing. And when there were people on the bench and they came to practice and everybody enjoyed playing and there was nothing said, and the game was played, and when whoever went in, and whoever didn't play, and there was no big deal. We all was happy. But that's not how it is now. So it's just crazy.
I have a very good friend of mine, and one of the main things that we talk about every time we have a conversation is what her son is doing. Now, she's got two other children, but this particular son, the oldest one, as a matter of fact, he's a very good athlete. And one of the problems, and Coach, he can attest to this as well, but one of the problems that I see, and I think what is prevalent with a lot of parents, is parents are trying to live through their children, and they are also looking at their children as if he or she is the next, say, Zion Williamson. So they're sending them to camps, and they're wanting them to be on the forefront, starting on every team. They expect them to be the star of every team, and they are actually seeming to be putting pressure on these young kids early on to be the star, as if you know that's their meal ticket, that's their retirement plan in the future, without really taking into consideration the skills or the abilities of their child.
Well, Vince, I was just going to say something to Danielle. He's joined us, and I wanted to tell him to please. We're getting ready to go over this past weekend. This is a three-part. This is part one of a three-part series that we're going to show over the next 3 weeks, and we're going to kind of highlight what we talked about and some of the things that we covered, which I learned a lot. Now, I don't want to get ahead of the three-part series, but I learned a lot because there were some things that came out from, the parents and one of the coaches, because it's been forever since I've been in school and things have changed. And that's why I felt it was so important for us to do this, especially when we talk about what we talk about and when it comes to parents and stuff that we have to deal with. Danelle, if you can hang out with us for a minute, we're going to play some of the highlights of some of the things that we talked about this past Saturday, and you can give us some feedback, Danelle. And then on the tail end of this, coaches, we're going to try to highlight what we just saw. Okay, so if you guys can hang out for a bit, I hope that I set it up, but this is from this Saturday, and this is part one of a three-part series, in that we're going to definitely try to hit the highlights, and hopefully we can help a lot of people out and better understand what's going on. And then you'll see what we're talking about when some of the things that were talked about that is so, so very important.
Coach Elijah Williams, head football coach at Jones High School.
Good morning. I am Vera Calvin, and I'm representing a former player of Elijah Williams, Jalen Joyner, who is currently a student athlete at Florida Atlantic University.
Okay. Got talking to it.
I'm Herb Gideon, and I'm representing old school basketball.
All right, all right.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Lawrence Davis, and I'm representing the old school myself. I'm a former athlete, also coach, and I've actually coached with Coach Carr at Boone High School.
Okay. Now, there's quite a few things that we wanted to address, and I brought something up to Vince's attention yesterday. So let me start there. I'm old school too. So for the person who's sitting watching us right now, she has no idea that I grew up a jock. So saying to Herb and I played ball in college together back when I could play. But I brought something up to Vince yesterday. As I got older, and people don't see this, my best friend that I was very close to in junior high school, I brought up something to his attention about 2 years ago. Now here's a guy that was this close to me, had no idea of what I brought up to him. And I started like this right here. I said, Wallace, I said, remember when we ran track? He said, yeah. I said, Deke ran in the relay, yeah. I said, Ronnie ran in the relay, yeah. And I said, your boy Mercer ran in the relay, yeah. He said, yeah. I said, was I faster than all of those guys? He said, yeah. I said, did you ever see me on the track running? Did you ever see me run in any race? Did you ever see me run in any relay? And he paused for a long time. And I said, you know why? What did you see me do? You saw me on the side. I was long jumping and high jumping because I was so shy. And as bad as I wanted to get out there and run, I was too shy and the coach didn't push me. So, and I said I was going to acknowledge something to her that I know he had no idea. And that is this right here. My freshman year, I was in practice and my knees was doing this. They were shaking.
Herb just said his too.
And at the time when later on when I was learning about anxiety attacks, I had no idea what that meant. So as a player coming up and being extremely shy, being an athlete and was very good at the craft, but I couldn't focus on the game because my mindset was, Coach Carter's over there. I'm trying to stay in this box. If I want to throw the pass the way he wants me to throw it, I want to do everything in the box of what that coach wanted me to do. Now, that was part of the immaturity. That was part of how I saw myself. But that was part of just wanting to do what I thought he wanted me to do. And I don't know if you remember him saying this. And this had more to do with me, more so than him. He said, if you do something different, it better work. If not, you're going to come sit next to me. Well, that didn't mean too much to me because I wasn't about to go outside the box anyway. So it wasn't until the year after that I started to feel comfortable and not think about anything. Because if we just broke off and played ball and played a game of 21, I was fine. Because now I could be me. I wasn't focusing on the mistakes I was going to make. I wasn't focusing on what he saw or what he thought. So I brought that up to Vince in the sense that a lot of parents may not know these things. And I asked the athletes, is that something that you experience? Is that something that should be addressed? Is it something common? Coaching? I'm asking. Because for me, once I matured where I didn't think about all of that, I went from 6.4, that was my scoring average, from 6.4 to 23.1. Well, I just went out and played. Once I left and I went and played up north, my scoring average went to 23.1 because I was a totally different player. And so I'm asking coaches, I'm asking you, because Vince, we know we briefly talked about it.
And I think we're doing that conversation, and I think Coach will be able to agree with this. To me, that is addressed in coaching culture. The culture that you have that your kids are being coached under. Are you coaching from a fear factor? Are you coaching from a relationship factor? The atmosphere that you create that allows an athlete to understand that he or she has an opportunity to make a mistake, yet grow from that mistake, because you're going to help them grow. Yes, I want you to do it a particular kind of way. That's what gives us success. If it's a fade route or a hook route, you got to run the hook route. Now, but if you don't run the hook route, the world has not caved in. We just got to correct that. And I think it's the way it's addressed. I say this to parents all the time, and coach, and you may be the same. I see a side of their kid that they never see. And they sometimes misunderstand what I mean by that. I'm not talking about how good their kid may be in terms of his behavior, but I see his failures that they don't see. I see him recover from failure. I see the jubilation he has when he achieves things that he never goes home and talk about, because they're not monumental conversations at home. But on this floor, this basketball floor, or this football field, this is a huge accomplishment to be able to make the block that you're supposed to make, be the way you're supposed to be on a given situation. It's huge. I've sat in a locker room for an hour and a half with a kid who broke down because he made a mistake and wanted to quit the game. And my point to him was, you can quit the game if you like. I'm okay with that, but don't quit because of this. Don't give up because this is not life. This is a step in life. So I believe that when you create that kind of a learning and a nurturing environment, we can address those kinds of things. Now, don't misunderstand me to the point that I don't want to win. I'm going to put the best in kids for football 11 or basketball 5 on the floor, but I'm going to nurture every kid that's a part of the program that's under my leadership, because I value them more as a person than I value them as an athlete. I'm going to develop them. I'm going to make sure they reach their full potential as an athlete and as a person. That's a different coaching culture, and I'm sad to say, Coach, you may be able to, we don't have enough coaches who feel that way. I was taught that way. That's the way I was coached, and I thought that was the only way to coach. That's all I know how to do. So I think, and I've dealt with kids who've had not only anxiety, alcohol problems, drug problems, and had to deal with that from an athletic standpoint, and being able to address him as an athlete and as a substance abuser, as an athlete and a homeless person, an athlete and an alcoholic, and being able to balance his life so that he has value in what he's doing. So, and you understand when you have anxiety or you have a drug problem, every minor situation is a major effort in your life. I try to reduce that. I believe that's where good coaches create environments that allow a kid to fail but yet succeed.
Yeah, because when you're 18, 19, you don't know what the heck that is.
No.
You don't have a clue. You're totally clueless.
Yeah,
you're trying to fit in. You know you can play this game, but as a matter of fact, when I was standing in practice, and no one knew that my knees was doing this. I mean, I was sitting there and I was like this, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know where it was coming from.
Well, you know what, Charles, you brought, and Coach also raised a lot of important issues, but it also, what it does is really emphasize the importance of the role of a coach. Now, not only have I coached basketball, but when you mentioned track and field,
Right.
I also coach track and field, boys and girls as a head coach. And if I had a kid out there who I knew was faster than the guys I had out there running that 4x1
Right.
or that 4x4,
Right.
and he was not on the track,
Right.
that would have been a problem for me. But what it says is that a lot of student athletes don't get the opportunity to maximize their full potential because some coaches, not all coaches, not everybody is a Coach Carter. There are very few Coach Carters. But a lot of coaches miss out on looking at the talent that they have either on the basketball court, on the football field, or any other sport because they don't see the potential of those kids. And then the next thing is to bring that out. Now, bringing that out would have meant me knowing that Charles can outrun these three guys right here.
Right.
Charles, get on that track.
And I just needed somebody to push me. I wanted
That's all
to
you
so
need.
bad. I was sitting over there in the corner, and I wanted to be out there so bad, but I was just sitting there, didn't know how to go out there.
And that's the job. That's one of the jobs and roles of coaches is to get. It's about winning and losing is important. And now, coaching, I will tell you, we don't like to lose.
Right.
Losing really isn't an option for us. I mean, but if we lose, it's not going to be because we didn't put forth the best team out there possible. And that might mean putting you out there. And you gonna run. You might be scared, but you gonna run. I know somebody here.
Real quickly.
Okay.
Just piggybacking on what everybody said, I think that the biggest aspect is creating a positive environment. The coaching staff. I got plenty of examples I can use, but I'm gonna use one just recently. And it's kind of the same example that you used. We had a wrestler. Was the best wrestler in the school, 180 pounds. Never played football before, never played any other sport, just a wrestler, tough kid. And he came out in the spring to play football. Nervous, never said a word, don't speak, couldn't learn the plays, had him at linebacker. He was a tough kid, tackled, hit, couldn't learn the plays, didn't understand the football knowledge. Went through a whole spring with him at linebacker. Didn't think he was gonna make the team. We have like play days. They can go out and pick up games and play football 7-on-7. And so we're watching this kid, and he's just amazing, just fast as I don't know what, running and catching. And I said, I'm the idiot. I got this guy at linebacker. This kid need the ball in his hand. So the last 2 days of spring, put him at running back. He can't learn the plays. It's like Spanish to him. He's never played. My running back coach was very frustrated with him. Coach, we run kind of pro style, college style offense. He can't do it. And that's when I think creative environment came in. And I said, well, if he can't do that, we gonna change what we do. Because he's gonna be on the field. So we've condensed everything we do to fit this kid's strengths. He one of the top running backs in the county right now. He's gonna be a senior.
That's the key to it right there, is being confident enough, coach, being able to see the big picture. Because many coaches I know is true in basketball. They have a style of play and they want everybody to fit that style, as opposed to let me adjust my style based on the talent that I have. So that means that kid in the corner who's afraid now, I just went into his environment, created the environment he wants to play in, and he's playing the best ball he can play. If you don't invest, you don't investigate, and you don't build a relationship, you miss out on great opportunities to coach great athletes. Okay? Not that he or she may not be world record holders, but they're great athletes. Right. They bring a lot to the game that they're involved in. So I charge myself as a coach, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. Get to know each one of them. Get involved with him. If he's not starting, why is he not starting? Is it because this kid just outskilled him? Then that's possible. But he can still play. He can still play. I got to find out. It's up to me to find out what he can do and put him in. And maximize the effort of him and the team. But that, to my point, that's where coaching to me, sometimes we as coaches get lazy. That's a lot of extra work. That's a lot of film, that's a lot of one-on-one, and I need to go home, I gotta get ready for it. To me, I don't see it that way. That's my job. If I gotta sit up all night to figure this out, then that's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. You know, and so I think that's why sometimes athletes explode at certain times and you wonder, where was he? Well, he got into an environment where somebody said, you know what, son? Come over here. We can do this. I can definitely do this.
Okay. Hold on a second, Hold on a second. Go ahead real quick.
Well, my statement or input on this is to go with what you said. You said you needed somebody to push you. Well, me being a single parent with my son, he was always the big that kid, you know, but he was solid. And he would have wanted to run the ball, and on certain teams they would have him running the ball because nobody could tackle him. but I realized what his actual potential was, and I pushed him so to lose the different weight that he needed to lose, and to not be afraid, because I'm the big kid, but I'm also 4 years younger than these guys. So what we used to do is, after practice, we used to go and run. And it's easy for somebody to tell somebody big, go run and you lose weight or do this. But I actually got out there and ran with him.
Okay.
And that motivated and encouraged him. And then it got to the point where I didn't have to run with them. He was like, come on, Mom, it's time for us to work out and get the stuff done. And when he dropped the weight and his confidence and everything increased because he could move faster. So it's not always a coach's responsibility to motivate your child. You have to actually get out there and see what your child is doing. You can't just go by what your child says. You have to witness it yourself. And a lot of parents only are concerned about theirs. I look at all of the children and I see what everybody does and see where his skill would fit in versus everybody else. And then I'm like, well, Jamie, you know what? You need to go over there and do this or do that. I actually bought a book about football to be able to coach them.
You are special.
We're going to address you in a minute. No, seriously, we're going to address you in a minute, because there's a part of this that is called be less of a fan and more of a parent. So we're going to address you in a minute. But go ahead, Herb.
Well, that's a good book.
As an athlete, I too was in the same shoes that you were in, going through that first day, first week of practice, being nervous. But I think what I realized that all of us had potential, and our potential had to be maximized based on what area it was in. So I felt like, regardless of when I was on the court, I was going to be me, regardless. Because when it's time to play the game, like you said, the coach would always say, well, if you don't make this pass, well, you'll be sitting over here by me. As long as I executed and nobody stole the ball, we scored, I was okay with that. And he was okay with that.
But Herb, I don't want to cut you off, but people don't, like I said, people don't see us the way, but you were a great player, okay? And the fact that you just said what you just said, see, I would have never even thought that, because you were a great low post player, and for me to hear that for the first time is that's very surprising to me, because I never saw that.
But I guess it came natural for me, but I didn't do what everybody else did. Whatever the coach said do, okay, I did that.
Right.
But I was out there to play the game. And whatever it took, as he said, to win the game,
right,
that's what I did. At the end of the game, I got a W. I got whatever points that was given to me. I wasn't nervous anymore. After that first game, hey, let's play. As far as the other piece was saying, how you encourage her son. We all have potential. We're all going to make errors.
right,
But you can't penalize the person for making an error, because even when we look at our life, we wasn't where we are when we were 19.
right.
We had to go through something. And that's why we're here.
Okay. Tell us your name, and you have a question.
Statement. Stephanie Rozier Jackson. I can agree with the young lady, with all of y'all. I was an athlete, but not the normal. I was gymnastics, swimming, tennis, and my mother didn't want me to play what I wanted to play. I wanted basketball. I wanted to run track. So I practiced and I served on that. So when I had kids, One was baseball, two was baseball. My daughter was a dancer, but she wanted basketball, football, and she was little, small. So everybody was telling her cousin 6 feet, oh, she not me. I didn't kill her dream. The coaches killed her dreams. The coaches killed my son's dreams. And as some coaches, not all of them, the ones who knew who they were and what was in them and the seed they came from, I came back to Orlando trying to figure out, I put one at Edgewater. I need one at Jones because he was in Gwinnett County. He didn't know nothing about our culture. And he excelled on the field, educational-wise. Long story short, he put back into the system in reference to seeing kids. Baseball was his ticket, but the coach threw a jacket. I was going to build that program at the school. He said, I don't want to play. I said, your physique too small to play football. That's where he excelled. And he take students that got in a little trouble, junior high, took him to Brady. Long story short, I'm rushing now because I got to go make sure he stays in bed. He's coaching at Plant City now. Car pulled out and hit him, he broke his neck. I don't need him on the field with no stress right now. So I'm that athlete mother. So when I came here, I asked the young lady, what's going on? They need me back there, but I'm not staying back there when we going around in circles on the same thing. I need to see here, and I said I needed his number. I didn't know anyone, but that's what I'm about to bring to Orange County, because this is my home, Apopka. But I was educated in Orange County. Baseball for our kids, tennis, gymnastics, but I love football. I can't hit a softball, but I can hit a baseball. And I'm not, if a young lady plays those sports, we were labeled. Married 34 years, there my husband March the 5th, and our son was killed 7 years ago. You don't know all this. I'm writing a book with Sergeant Ann, and I saw them on the internet. I'm a computer whiz. And Sarah Hill saw me at the Classic with my events. I do events now. She said, Stephanie, I need you to pull this together. You know all the athletes, male and female, across the United States. We want all you all to come back. Florida A&M, we want you on the wall of distinction. I said, I need to put some people before me because I believe in, we like to honor people, new people, but there are people that came before us. I'm back here, and that's why I want to work. I don't have y'all name, but I know how to get married, and I'm glad I came through this with Jessica because I wasn't coming. I was here earlier, and I told her I needed his number, because you can imagine if my daughter, that eagle eye point shooter, she's taking care of her older brother, and I knew it was kind of serious because she don't serve nobody. And she just got on her job. So we're going to work together. I started along with Judge Jim Perry and Jackie Robinson Lee. I'm taught her to make it like mom and do. So whatever y'all need from me.
Okay. Okay.
And we're going to make it. I don't even know what we're supposed to be doing today, but I know she told me it was a parent.
Right. Now she said something that was very key. Dream killers, coaches. Man, can we address that for a quick second before we move on? All right. So let's talk about that for a second, because okay. I just gave you my card. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
All right. Okay. That's very key, man, because whether or not a coach understands the position, because for me, all of my father figures were my coaches. And my first father figure, I take him with me every day of my life. And there's this thing, the mentality that I try to emphasize even when I did coach, because his thing was, and he emphasized it, you kill a mosquito with an axe. That's all I knew. That's all that we knew. Coach killers. I mean, dream killers, the coaches. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay. I was actually coming up through high school, and when she mentioned dream killer, there's a legendary coach in my hometown. But the one thing about this particular coach that I noticed was that he always had his select few. He always knew who he wanted on his team. And if he didn't know you, or if you were not in that small circle, it's going to be very hard for you to make that team. And in many cases, a lot of kids like myself say, well, you already got your team picked. You already got your starting five, and you got your the rest of the squad already filled out. And I don't think some coaches do it intentionally, kill dreams, but I think unintentionally, because they have their own aspirations. They don't realize and they don't recognize the fact that there are other kids outside their periphery that they're missing out on the opportunity to play.
When you think of the coaches, I don't think some of them even understand. Some of them do, some of them don't understand the difference they make in the lives of some of those kids. They really don't, because a lot of times that is the only father figure that they will see.
And imagine the only father figure that you have killing your dream. It does more than just kill that dream. You're actually killing the essence of that young man or that young woman, because you're telling them they're not good enough, or they're not capable enough, or they're not able enough, or you're just looking at them from your perspective.
Right. It is funny because one of my frat brothers is one of the guys who will say, give me all your misfits. That's how you, and I mean it like all the guys that he looks at as the misfits, I want those. Let me coach them. The people, the kids that you don't think that are good enough. Let me take those kids. Let me mold and shape them. See, and Vince and I kind of tease back and forth, because when I coach girls. And Vince says,
I coach boys and girls, and there's a world of difference between girls.
And the reason why I coach girls is because they listen more so. And because of my personality, like I have problems now with the kids coming up now. I have problems because of how it would drive me crazy. And I want to address, Elijah in a minute, even now, coaching now versus maybe 15, 20 years ago. Because I'm dealing with the young girl, and I give you a perfect example. The girl that when I was coaching girls, she was 9 years old. Now her son is 9, okay? So she called me, I want you to coach my son, because I work with her individually, blah, blah, blah. So she knows me pretty well. And she taught me a valuable lesson. I learned that little girls are not so bad. It's not so, because growing up as an athlete, you want your son, and she taught me so much because I spent so much time with her. I coached her for 5 straight years. She was in FBBA, in the YBOA, and later on when they got older, it was in AAU. And she got me coaching her son earlier this year. And she came to practice with me. She came to practice with him. Now, I've been coaching him for a little while. And he went and he did his thing. And she turned around 3 times. You gonna let him get away with that? You gonna let him get away? You would have never let me get away with that. And I'm just sitting there looking at it like this right here. Okay. To make a long story short, and even in the game when I went to see him play, the mother who had called me when she was 9 to come coach turned around and looked at me and said, "Did you see that? Why you not saying nothing? You would." I was just sitting there. But what she does not understand, even though it frustrates me, I can't coach him the way I coached her. And she doesn't understand that not only, I want to say to not only you to make him a little mama's boy, which is another story, but he don't have you didn't have Steph Curry in your head. You didn't have these video games in your head. All this other stuff that you can't shoot twos, and I'm on you every time I walk out there, you shoot threes. All this stuff that, and I'm not saying it in a negative way, but I'm just saying she doesn't understand. I didn't have to fight through that with you and other things. And I said, your son has never, ever come to practice and have done anything all out. And she looked at me, really? I said, no, ever. And I'm just saying that it just seems to be different because my psyche doesn't work that way. So it's frustrating for me because my psyche doesn't work that way. So I gotta learn how to deal with that because that's not my personality. Because that's not how we play. That's not my understanding of what you come in with. So it's not him, it's me. Because I gotta learn how to deal with the kids of today. It's different for me. And so my question is, from Jones to now to, how is it, Coach Carter, Coach Williams, what is it like coaching now based on what I just said? They got Steph Curry, or they see these athletes now, and it's just different. It's different for me. It's different.
To be honest with you, I'm the youngest guy up here with this is my experience. I'm in the thought process of that these kids are not different than what we are. Kids the same. They born the same. They think the same. Kids not the problem. Parents the problem. Society's the problem. These different rules and laws. Education, I think, is the problem. But the kids are the same. So it goes, and I'm probably gonna say this the whole day, but it comes back to creating the environment. Right. Basketball is a little different. You got 10 to 15 players. Right. So with football we got 80. So just off the top going down, I hire young coaches just like myself. Football, that's the easy part. Coaching from 3 to 5, that ain't football. Football is after the hours. Right. All them relationships. Find out what type of parent, what type of household this kid lives in, so I know how to coach him. Because a lot of these households, they want that old school. Right. Now, I'm not going to do that if I don't know I can do that. Right. But once I know that parent, and that parent, you get on, okay, I know what I can do to this one. Okay, now some other ones, like you said, can't push, can't, this is a delicate. Right. And that's the times now. And it's not the kid's fault, it's just how he was raised. It's his environment he's in, so you don't want to cause no friction there. So I think with football and myself, it's on an individual basis. Kind of how you can push a kid and how you can't. And it's tough because kids see it.
But see, you said something that was very smart because you're talking about the relationship with the parent, then that helps build a better relationship with the kids. Exactly. Right, because that's the key. And that was why my relationship with the girl, who I was just talking about, coaching her son, because I had a relationship with the mom. So her mom played ball in school. So I could push her harder than anybody else on the team.
She's expecting you to.
Right. And that's why she was looking at me when she saw, and she was looking at me like, she actually screamed at you. How you let him get? And I was like, this really is. And he looking at me like, because he don't understand.
Coach, you may be the youngest, but you speak great words of wisdom. Because I do believe that speaks to my concern of lady coaches. You have to, in building relationships, you have to take time to build a relationship. You have to have all the background information. knowing about parents, what parents' expectations are, and managing their expectations with their kids. Sometimes it's unrealistic. Sometimes it's very much on point, that they know exactly what they're looking for. So if you aren't going to be 100% invested, then you're going to miss great opportunities. I believe, too, it's not the kids. I know they're being influenced by an awful lot of stuff, but that's my job to manage their expectations and what they're involved in. What I also have to manage, to Coach's point, is family. I got to know where did you come from? What are they talking about? Because once I get to meet mom and dad, I know exactly who I'm dealing with. I understand why I may have to take you behind the shed and knock you sideways because I know your mom and your dad. So but that's what I think is missing more than anything else today in coaches. You have some coaches just don't know the game, don't know what they're doing. Like, okay, I get that. That's the inexperience. Maybe we can do better. But if you aren't going to get right down to it and take the steps that the coach is talking about, get out of that lazy thing. If you aren't invested in coaching, you shouldn't be a coach. Because it's not about on the court, not on the field. It's what happens after that.
Right. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I did learn that because my first time when I was coaching back when she was 9 years old, because now you become part of the family. You hear all the stuff inside the house, outside the house. You got 12 different players. And now you have a relationship with the parents, and now it's beyond basketball because now you got to hear all the other stuff.
But Charles, here's a challenge. Here's another challenge. Coach has 80 players on his team, and maybe I got 15. They rotate. Every 4 years, it's a different group.
Right.
So if you don't have a formula, a basis of operation, a culture that you move forward, you're going to struggle every year. Now here's the key. Here's another key I think I've seen happen. I got your older son. Now here comes your younger son. I have less problem with the younger son because he's already seen it. He knows mom's reaction. I can't go home and tell my praises because she's not buying it.
I'm already out.
Well, yeah, it's true. Now, from a coaching standpoint, you also learn me. You say, be careful what you say to him now because he ain't got them all. You'll set him off and it'll be a long day. But that's all a part of that after hours coaching. Especially in school, when you see them doing the day outside of their specific sport, to me it's important the relationship that I have. For me, I don't talk basketball with my kids. I talk about their household, what's going on with them, their girlfriends, and their pets, and I mention grades because since I'm not your counselor, but I do hold you accountable. But I'm talking about you. What kind of day you have today? Did you see the ball game last night? Did you see baseball or something? He doesn't care nothing about tennis. When we get on the court, it's basketball. It's 100% basketball. Off the court, it's about him. And what's going on in your life. So again, Coach, I think that balances out what you were saying. I know, and early on, a long time ago, I was coaching a kid who was homeless, and I didn't know that. I know he was a little bit different, but people are people. So I thought nothing about it. The only way I found out he was homeless is I went home a different way than I normally go, and found out he was living in the area. This kid was homeless. Wow. I didn't know that. And he had never said that. He was clean every day. He articulated himself well. This kid was living homeless, and I stumbled up on it. And it took me a day or two to figure out how to approach him on that. Because I didn't want to embarrass him. I didn't want to expose his secret.
Right.
So I tried to build a bridge of relationship that maybe you can share this with me if you like. If you don't, it's okay. And someone else exposed him. And I happened to be that big to catch him in the phone. Just, again, I'm not taking credit for it because it was an accident.
Right.
But I just happened, because I knew already, and when he fell, I was able to catch him. And he was able to rebound and move forward. Right. So, dream killers. Parents do it.
Oh, yeah.
Coaches do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do it together.
Yeah.
And we do it together. And what we ought to be trying to do is to build dreams together. Realistic dreams.
Yeah.
We were saying earlier, I was a product of a household where my mom wanted the best for me. She never thought I was. She said, "You call yourself an athlete?" Okay, sounds good to me. You know, that would make me happy. But I was an athlete. I really was. Trust me when I tell you, I was an athlete. I really was an athlete. I really was. but my mom said, "Yeah, okay, well, if it makes you happy, then we'll go with that." But she wanted me to be complete. And if that dream was a part of making me complete, then we went. I just happened to be able to fulfill part of it. So that, and I know we're going to talk about parents, so I don't want to get too far ahead of that, because parents play, and I heard mom say this a few minutes ago, a lot of the problem is not the kid.
Right.
He's the results of it. It starts at home with that parent. Expectation, unrealistic expectations, and all those kinds of things. So that dream, and then let's expand that for 1 second. Players kill other players' dreams. Coaches assist in that execution by not setting a standard, not individualizing who we are. Here's one of the things that we tell kids all the time. We got a team of basketball players. Playing time will not be equal. Shooting the basketball will not be equal. But everybody can play defense. That's a group effort. Everybody can play defense. But we're not shooting the ball the same. Okay, we're not, so we're never. Here's what you got to do. And here's one of the things I learned too. And this is something that's tough for me, but I think I got it now. Kids come and say, "What can I do to get better?" Well, there's a list of things you can do, but it doesn't mean you will play.
Right.
Because this kid in front of you is just better than you. His skill level is higher than yours. He's bigger and faster at what he does. Now, will you get better? Absolutely. Absolutely. You will be 100% better. Will you overtake this kid? Probably not. If you are 6 feet, he's 6'7", I don't know what I can tell you to help make up 7 inches worth of difference. There's nothing. There's no magic that I know of that can do that. But can you be the best 6-foot player you are? Absolutely. He will be the best 6'7" player. We got 2 good players.
Right.
You know.
All right. Well, you know, Coach, I never did ask you what happened to the homeless kid.
He actually went on, he got some help. He got help. There was a family that came along after about 6 or 8 weeks. I wouldn't say they adopted him, but they took him in, and he went on to graduate. As far as I know, he went on to college. We kind of lost contact with one another, unfortunately, but I do know he went on to college. Don't know if he played any sports or not, but he did graduate and then went on to college. So I'm considering that a success story for right now.
Okay. Oh, definitely. Definitely. And then, you know, the funny thing is, Vince, when I work with Orange TV, I work very closely with the SAFE program in Orange County Public Schools. And people would be shocked of the number of homeless kids that are in school.
Yes.
Now, they
Yep.
attend school, but they're homeless. And the numbers are like crazy.
Yeah.
People don't know about it, you know? Yeah.
One of the best kept secrets that you would ever, and they don't show any indication. Their grades, they have good grades, they behave well, they're clean. You know, some of the signs that you would look for a disturbing household or disruptive household. Many of them don't have it at all. And how they maintain that is amazing to me, given the difficulty of, you know, where are you going to eat, where are you going to sleep every night. And there are no attendance problems. They're there every day when they need to be there. That's amazing. That's a testimony to their willpower.
You know, one thing about homeless students, they're very creative because they have got to be able to, like Coach said, attend class, be there, be on time, and they also are able to appear to class pretty well groomed and looking pretty decent. That's a testament to the creativity. But a lot of them, they do have, there's a network amongst them at the school of those who are in that situation. They know who they are. and they actually support each other and kind of look out and take care of each other and help each other out. Just today, uh, I had the opportunity to help a young man who's in a similar situation, and we're sending him up to stay with a friend of his. But we had to make arrangements, you know, for the airline ticket and to give him temporary housing until we could get that done. But he was essentially basically homeless. So there are a lot of students out there, and we're talking about college, we're talking about high school. There are a lot of them out there.
You, one of which takes me to another subject. A couple of years ago, a few years ago, I was talking to Angela Vince. I don't know if you remember Angela Adams. Angela put on the Black Men's Health Summit.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Angela is very much into health. And she brought to my attention, there was this star athlete who was a very good athlete, and he was highly recruited. But his diet consists of a Big Mac and French fries. And at the age of, I think, about 17, they had to rush him to the hospital. He almost died from high blood pressure. But if you had looked at him and knowing that he was the athlete that he was, but his primary diet every day, because of how he was living, was a Big Mac and fries. And that's all he ever had to eat, you know? And I can remember numerous conversations that you were telling me, Vince, about when you was coaching and when you was trying to convince and help them to better understand about their diet, and then doing the game parts of the game when the other team was getting tired because of their diet, they had more energy.
Right.
And I know that's another whole, I mean, that's a whole nother lesson that you try to
Yeah,
teach,
right,
because
right.
when I was coaching, man, it was hard to try to get those girls to understand the importance of a diet when they're 15 and 14 and 16 years old.
It's a constant, for me, it's one of those important things. And along the way, I proved to them, we lost a game one time because they were tired and they just lost their energy. The energy level was low. You come to find out, you know, they hadn't rested the night before. I started inquiring, what are you eating? I brought the parents in and said, listen, this you know, we got to make some changes. And we got, you know, so we talked about implementing a better diet program, and I got the parents involved. And down the line, we won some games because we could outlast the other team because of our diet. They had more energy, their stamina was better. And I convinced, you know, when the parents bought in, it was a done deal. When we travel, I control all of their meals and what they could have, how much they could have. One of our sponsors was Hooters, and we went there, and they could not have, they can only have 2 chicken wings and a salad. And boy, while I had 18 wings, I had 20 wings, because I reminded him, I'm not playing. I'm just coaching. Uh, but that became the norm after a while. They accepted it because it produced itself. The reward was productive on the court. Yeah, but I think that is crucial, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, you know, this is part one of a 3-part series. Sports is more than just a game, based showing some highlights from the summit, that the roundtable that took place this past Saturday. And there's some really good stuff that we didn't get into that's up and coming. And I think everybody was impressed with the mother at the table, because she really impressed me. And God knows we need more parents like that sister. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Jesus. Wow. If we had more parents like her, wow. You know, she's
Unbelievable,
something special.
without a doubt. She had a perspective that it was hard for me to. It was unbelievable that she could see it that way, and she saw. And one of the things she said I thought was so important is what we try to preach: is a team is a family, and you have to care about each family member. I thought she brought that out really early, that she cared about other kids and their success and supporting them. And then the fact that she got out and supported her own son, physically got out there and ran with him and physically trained with him. That was huge. That was absolutely huge.
Right. I mean, how many parents would get out and run with the children, whether it's a boy or a girl, to get out there and do those things. And I'm asking you, coaches. I mean, I got two coaches here. How odd is that you have a parent, whether it's a girl or boy, that would the parent would get out there and whether or not play catch, run, just throw the ball back when they're shooting free throws or whatever they're doing to be involved. How unique is that? Is that a common thing?
I think it's very unique, the fact that she's a single parent. I think that really makes it unique. The fact that a two-parent household, that you have some involvement from the family or a sibling, probably a little bit more common to some degree, but for a single parent and a mother to take that kind of investment, that's rare. I've seen households where you had mom and dad had one aspect, mom had another aspect of bringing a total effort. But a single parent, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, for her to be a woman as well, for her to get out and do that, that's incredible. That's unusual as far as I can see.
Well, I've seen the dynamics of the parent, student, athlete, and sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's not. I also see situations in which neither parent is really involved, and they have left it up to the coaches to fill that void, and they only come when they can to games or to practices or to make sure the child's picked up. I think it varies. That particular young lady is definitely I'm not going to say it's an anomaly, because there are a lot of single parents out there, and a lot of them who happen to be moms, unfortunately, in this day and age. And they're trying to grasp with trying to raise young men who are involved in sports, and they are not and don't know a whole lot about those particular sports. A lot of women don't know a lot about football or basketball or baseball, and they're trying to fill that void and be that role as a parent coach. Sometimes it's difficult, so I do commend that young lady.
Vince, I don't know, it was a few years back, but I don't know if you remember the panel that I had you on. It was you, Dr. Robinson, and Pastor Jenkins. Remember that panel when we were talking about those mothers raising those boys?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dave Washington, and I'm laughing because Coach Davis, well, let me tell you the reason why we did that particular topic. It was because my pastor worked in the jail system, and he said something that we were trying to get the parents to understand. Now, when I say this, you'll understand why the mothers was like, What he said was, he has seen so many young men come into this prison because of their mothers. But we was trying to break that down for them to understand what he meant by that, and the importance of the mothers who are not doing the part of trying to find a father figure, and to understand how important that is for these young, whether it's a boy or a girl. But I was just asking, Vince, do you remember being on that panel?
I do. And the importance of that was an interesting conversation. And to fast forward that, here's a young lady who took it upon herself, not only to involve herself on the athletic side, but the academic side, and it's paid rewards and dividends. She could have made excuses. She's a single parent. She could very well have made excuses. She could have put it all in the coach's hand, but instead she built a team, and they worked on it together, and I dare say that they've had success. So, and it's tough for a mom to try to raise a young man. It's a very difficult task, and particularly in today's society with all the distractions that they have. So she's to be commended. And at that time, what we were talking about is still relevant today. It's about having support. But I do think there's a lot more support nowadays than even during the time that we had that discussion. But it has to be utilized. These people have to reach out for it. Moms have to reach out and help. Churches have to help. Men in the community have to be volunteers, surrogate dads where the opportunity presents itself. We have to do it as a culture. We have to do it as a people to help those youth grow in from young men, young ladies, into to women and men.
I'm going to switch it up real quick. The football. Oh, I got a question. Are you following that Pacquiao fight, boxing? Are you following that fight at all?
No, not at all.
You know, the only thing I saw a commercial on it, and I'm like, what? I'm like, come on, Pacquiao. I think there's a time and a place for everything, and there's a time to hang up the gloves, you know. And I think it's been past time for Pacquiao. Well, that's true.
They're willing to pay him, so he's like, yeah, all right, I may risk going into a coma, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, with this young fella, man, yeah, he's really putting his health at risk, because this is not just any boxer that he's going in. This is a young fella trying to make it, who's trying to get his money.
I'm sitting here watching your boy Walker on ESPN. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I think him going to the Celtics, I think they're gonna be a better team this year. You know, coming up. I don't know how they're gonna replace Alford, but I think the Celtics are gonna be a good team this year. What you think?
I think that's a good move for them. I think they will miss Horford, but some of the pieces that they have around and that they've assembled this year, I think they'll be able to cover that gap for a while. I think the biggest replacement is bringing Kemba Walker in and Irving going out. I really think that's going to be a big help for them. They got some other good pieces as well.
What team do you think in the NBA will probably be, I guess, the one to look out for?
I think
Milwaukee lost some pieces.
Well, everybody lost pieces with this free agency. Everybody lost and picked up. The question is whether or not did they lose their key pieces, and what value did they get coming back? I think Utah Jazz got so much stronger. I think Denver got so much stronger. I really believe the Pelicans got stronger. I'm sorry, the Pelicans and the Clippers. The Clippers got stronger. So I don't know that you can look for an 18 or even East-West. I think for the first time you got a real potential balance in league that will make watching the NBA even more enjoyable this year, because you don't really know who will come out of the East and West. You'll have favorites, of course, and that's just based on who you like. But I think if you look at the rosters, as they complete those rosters, because they're not finished yet, they're still signing kids from the summer league. You still got your second and third tier free agents that haven't been signed yet. So teams are going to look different. I think it's a possibility they could be very exciting. It's going to be very interesting. I think I may enjoy watching the NBA for a change.
You know, I must have fell asleep because I had no idea DeAndre Jordan was in New York. I don't even know when he went to New York. I don't know how he ended up in New York. Last time I think I saw him, he was in Dallas. When did he go to New York?
Free agency. He moved right up when that thing clicked in at 6 p.m. See, that's what I'm saying. So much took place so quickly that the commissioner's office, the NBA commissioner's office, they're starting to look at. They're going to address that, because it appears that there are a lot of conversations and deals were made before the proper deadline took place, which is considered to be tampering. Because at that time, when that clock hit 6 p.m. in the East, a whole lot of people moved, a lot of money moved hands real quick. And normally it's not supposed to happen like that. You know, the Kawhi deals, those deals, man, those things were already done. Durant, those things were already done. They were already in place. That's what they didn't want. although they want free agency to be open, it's an open market. But so people will move. So many people have moved that people don't even really know they've been going because we've been looking at the top, the top players. A lot of middle players have moved. People don't. You won't know until the season starts that this is taking place.
Yeah, and Charles, I believe, just taking a step back just a second, I think an interesting team will be the Clippers this upcoming season because Kawhi Leonard now has to prove that he can go to another team and make that team an NBA championship team because he has to win the championship. It's not about being a competitive team. He has to win the championship. And he's got to go through LeBron James to do it. And I think that's what's going to happen. That those two got to match up.
That's going to be easy. That's going to be easy. The Lakers will stink. The Lakers will stink. So going through LeBron will be easy. They'll take care of that real easy. I think they got to worry about other teams more so than the Lakers. The Lakers are too dysfunctional. You got LeBron James playing point guard.
That's not going to work.
You're not winning no basketball game. You're not going to be able to win games. The good thing about Kawhi, the coach's point, is that he is expected to win, but he doesn't have to carry this load by himself. They've got one heck of a supporting cast from the office, from office to staff to players. If he's going to do it, this would be a place he would do it. It'll be much easier, even easier in my opinion than it was in Toronto, because he doesn't have to carry this. He's got a lot of help both offensively and defensively of what he can put on the floor. So they are a heavy favorite, and they're coming with their feet on the ground already. They don't have a lot of because this is all blended bricks. They just put in two players to go along with everything else that they had. I think they've done an excellent job.
Although I don't think Kawhi's running partner, what's his name? Paul George. I don't think Paul George is quite at the level that he was before he broke his leg.
Well, no. But once again, he's in a situation where he doesn't have to be because of what's surrounding him. They got a lot of firepower out there that they can throw in and help him. The Pelicans, they got good pieces, but they're young. And you cannot overcome that inexperience that they have, that exuberance that they have will get them up and down the floor. But their basketball IQ, experience on the floor is going to show up at certain times. There's probably be a difference between winning and losing the game. But if you use the P word, potential, going forward, they're a strong favorite going forward.
If they hold them together and let them grow.
Mm-hmm.
Three other things before we get out of here. We got to quickly I'm going to ask you about the NFL, but Saban was on, and he's been on Sports Center, talk all day.
Today was his day.
Who's your favorite going into college football? And I'm asking both of you.
Alabama. Charles, got to be Alabama. Until somebody unsees them, it's going to be Alabama. Now, although Auburn, of course, they had a strong season last year and they won the championship last year, but they're still going to have to go through Auburn this year. I mean, they're going to have to go through Alabama.
Nobody's saying nothing about Clemson, huh?
Clemson will always be at the top. I think this is Alabama's year because Saban, the day they lost, they started practice the next day. And that's a fact. I mean, that's not a joke. I got that on good authority from the people who work on his staff. He was in their office the very next morning, breaking down film, finding out what they did. It's typically Saban. So by the time he gets the spring ball, they're already putting in their fall activity. He spent that much time already. His staff has done the same. When I say he was in the office, not just him, the whole staff was there. They've begun to work the very next day. So, and typically when he has an off year, his next year is a strong year if you're going by analytics. So and you got to look at. I love what Clemson is able to do. I think they'll be at the top the second tier, and they could meet again. But I think it's Alabama's year.
Man. So, I mean, right off the bat, what happened to FSU? What's happened to Florida?
Alabama.
We won't talk about Miami.
Alabama.
Huh? Alabama?
Alabama.
Georgia.
is Alabama.
I certainly hope the Florida State has I hope the coach up there has a much better year this year. I think he will. He has a chance to have more influence over the team, shape the team to his liking, put his system in fully. Now he's had a whole year to work with that. I certainly wish him well on that. I hope he has a good season, but it's Alabama.
You know, there's something to be said for consistency and longevity. Hence, Krzyzewski, coach at Alabama, you know, they have that consistency.
Not
And you
not
can't
the
get away with it.
not
You know,
the Krzyzewski in the last 5 years has not made it to the Final Four and has had some of the most impactful players that is going on one and done. It has not gotten to the Final Four. I didn't say win it. He didn't even get to the Final Four. So everybody's giving Krzyzewski the pass of a great coach who has not performed. Tom Izzo from Michigan. Everybody talks about he's a great coach. Yes, he is, but he has not performed. He has not met the major challenge. And see, they're giving Krzyzewski a pass. I'm not giving him a pass. He stunk for 5 years.
okay, that's the Dean Smith.
I'm a Carolina guy. I'm a Carolina guy. Bro, out here.
All right. You're not sitting next to a Dookie, right?
No,
No.
I would not be sitting next to him if he were to. This is trying to be a remote broadcast.
I was only using him as an example.
Okay, the second question. Do you think the baseball's a juice this year? Because they're leaving the park like crazy this year.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's worth looking. You know, they're gonna have to look at this.
But you know, one thing about none of the players, except for maybe Yelich, you know, I think is leading the league with 34 homers. They're not necessarily hitting individually those large numbers, but a lot of balls are flying out. So, you know, I think it just might be a season where, you know, you have a lot of big, strong athletes, you know, hitting these balls out. And the pitchers this year just may not be at the level that they were in previous years.
Okay. I got another question, but we'll talk about that next time because I want to ask, and I don't want you guys to answer it, but I would like to ask about when the pitchers are throwing at these guys, man, it was not at the head and all this other stuff. But I ask that later. Next show. Last question. Well, I already know what Vince's gonna say, but who's your favorite going into the NFL, starting off the season?
Okay, well, before I answer, we both like the same team.
Okay, wait a minute now. Hold on. Wait a minute. There's a difference between liking your team and being real about your team. Okay, I mean, there's plenty of teams you can like, but being real about what's real. Okay, so I asked the question, who's your favorite going into the season, going to the Super Bowl?
Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. France, what you say? Philly? Hey, if you really want to get Vince upset, you can say something like the Washington Redskins, you know.
Man. Or the New England Patriots. Either one of those two.
Now, I do like the Patriots. Now, I do like the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to be perennially, aiming for the Super Bowl.
Oh,
they're like Alabama in that sense.
Back then, yes, they let them back in last year and they won it. I don't think they're back in this year. They're going to have to win it outright. I don't think they are.
You can't let them in. You don't let them in.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was a mistake. They let them in. They're not getting in this year.
Have the Saints fallen off at all? Have you noticed?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But again, now, not a lot of conversation has been given to the football. There's been a lot of trading going on there. You got some guys coming back to the Patriots. You got You got Witten coming back to the Cowboys. You got some other guys coming out of retirement moving. You're going to see some different ball out there, but I think you got to lend yourself to the stronger teams. But we'll know more shortly as preseason starts. To start getting that first look. I think you said we're about 50 days out. They're already in OTAs and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think you have to look out for. You got to get a Patriots a nod. You got to look at some of your other strong teams by division. Kansas City, you got to think about.
I think you're really going to have to look at Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to be interesting this year. We're going to see it first year. Although that was his actual second year in the league, but let's see if the third year in this particular case is going to be good for the Chiefs. I think they're going to be having an interesting year this year. And I think the most interesting team may end up being the Cleveland Browns. If they can hold it together, they like to be here.
I think the team that you want to watch is to be the Oakland Vegas Raiders, Oakland Raiders, whatever they're called.
Oh yeah, John Gruden. Yeah. They say rumor has it they're back.
Yeah,
we'll
see what changes have occurred out there because again, he's had a whole year now to absorb and adjust and come back. And Gruden has in the past previously has proven himself well that way. Let's see how well he has recruited. He brought in players. What have they recruited? What have they drafted? What does he have to put on the field this year? This is going to be a very pivotal year for him. It could either make or break his opportunity out there.
That's what I was getting ready to say, Charles. I believe this year, if they go 8-6, John Gruden's going to be on the chopping block. He's got to go at least 10. He's got to get it. He's got to win 10.
Yeah, I used to be a Raider fan back in the day, but that was back when Snake was the quarterback. You know, that's back when Snake was the quarterback and back when they was the real Raiders, when they used to tackle you and try to spit on you and all that other stuff. But that, yeah. But thank you guys. Coach Davis, I really appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out. Vince, I'm happy you got there safe and sound.
Thank you.
I hope you get back safe and sound as well. So you gotta, call me when you get there.
I will. I'll do that.
And Wally, the raccoon, said he missed you, and he's sorry he didn't see you.
Tell Wally I said hold on to next time.
All right, this is Youth Central Sports, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. right here at www.youthcentralsports. We're also live on Twitter and Facebook. And so you make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube and make sure you hit the like button there on Facebook. We appreciate you. And everybody, 50 days until kickoff, NFL, America can get back to being normal again. Hey.
Yeah, go Cowboys. Go Cowboys.
Yeah, go Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your week. You be blessed.